Hamas released 2 hostages it was holding in Gaza. U.S. officials are urging Israel to postpone its ground offensive so hostage negotiations can continue.
And now a third convoy of trucks carrying aid has reached Gaza. Fox's Madeline Rivera joins us now from Jerusalem with the very latest. Madeline, what can you tell us?
Good morning, Dan and Tashani. A senior Hamas leader says Israel has already killed more than 22 hostages, and they're dangling the possibility of releasing more people once they say Israel stops its aggression. Brutal reminders of the deadly surprise attacks by Hamas terrorists still linger in Israel. This as Hamas released a second pair of female hostages late Monday. The 2 Israeli women were taken to a hospital in Tel Aviv.
When we received them, we brought them to their family members. The meeting was very, very moving.
Israeli officials say Hamas is still holding more than 200 people captive, including some Americans.
I think the combination of Israeli military pressure and the diplomatic pressure is getting people out, unfortunately, not as quickly as we would like. But we think as that pressure is increased, we'll see more people being set free.
A former Hamas leader says the militant group would free more hostages if Israel stops bombarding the Gaza Strip with deadly airstrikes. Israel has allowed small amounts of food, water, and medical supplies to trickle into Gaza. UN officials say they need more, including fuel to run generators and get clean water. Israel is preventing fuel deliveries out of fear Hamas will use it for military purposes. As Israeli fighters continue training for a possible ground invasion into Gaza, the Pentagon says it sent military advisors to Israel to assist with war plans. Israel has slammed Hamas's actions as psychological warfare. They say their troops are ready to move on to the next phase of war once they are given the orders to do so. Dan and Tashani.
And Madeline, it seems like the hostage negotiations are progressing. Do you know, or can we know, what both sides want here? I mean, what is Hamas asking for in return for these hostages?
It's funny you mentioned that, Dan. It's hard to imagine what Hamas is getting out of all of this. A spokesperson for the Department of State, Matthew Miller, said yesterday that Hamas is not getting anything in return for the exchange of those 2 hostages on Friday, those 2 American hostages and these 2 Israeli hostages that were released on Monday. But at the very least, right, they're getting some time. There's always been this question. It speaks to the difficulty that Israel has always faced, trying to secure the release of these hostages, trying to maintain their safety while also preparing for this potential ground invasion. Dan?
And Madeline, we're also seeing growing international support for a ceasefire in exchange for the remaining 200 or so hostages. What do we know about that?
Right. Yeah, we know that a lot of humanitarian agencies, a lot of international leaders, world leaders have been calling for a ceasefire, but the U.S. is not taking that approach. Yesterday, National Security Council spokesperson John Kirby advised against a ceasefire, saying that just allows Hamas to regroup and potentially carry out more attacks. Tashani?
Madeline Rivera live in Jerusalem. Thank you very much.